Are you feeling trapped and wondering if it's time to finally quit your job and start your business? In this video, you'll discover the 10 signs that it's time to quit your job and finally launch your business, even if you're afraid and worried about failing. And make sure to stay until the end, where I share with you my free course on how to start this profitable business. So sign number 1 is that you feel restless even when things are good, quote unquote good. What does it mean when things are good? When things are good, there's not a lot of fires that you're putting out in your job. You're making a good money. You're providing for your family. You're having a decent work-life balance, and still you feel restless. If you still feel restless despite having these comforts, that is a clear, blatant, transparent sign. Now is time to start thinking about quitting. Because what you don't want to do is have this feeling now and ignore it for a month, or a year, or 5 years, or 10 years, and start letting that feeling build and build to the point of resentment. And then reaching a stage in life where you have that golden cage that you're trapped by. You have all the benefits, you have all the income, the title, the respect, but you don't have the freedom. So if you're feeling restless already, that's sign number 1. Sign number 2 is that you dread Mondays more than you enjoy Fridays. If it's Sunday and you're spending time with your family, but you're worried that you have to wake up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. the next day and go back into that meaningless, heartless job of yours. And you are ecstatic and excited when you get to the end of the week so that you can leave the office and be home with your family and friends and all of that. That's a clear sign and signal that it's time to get out of that career and build your own business. I get that it can be scary. I get that it's uncomfortable and you may think that it's safer to stay in your job. But that is such a false sense of security. When you think of how finite and limited our life is and how tomorrow is not guaranteed to any of us, why would you let more time go by staying stuck in a job that doesn't bring you joy and fulfillment? That's the second sign, is dreading Mondays more than you enjoy Fridays. The third is that you daydream about building something on your own. Now, I get it. You may not have been born to be an entrepreneur. I sure was. And I wasn't that kid who was at 12 years old doing lemonade stands and selling baseball cards. I was literally conditioned to be an employee. I started my career in investment banking. I worked in corporate. I was everything, other than an entrepreneur for most of my life, like my first 25 to 29 years. But then something shifted. I learned more about entrepreneurship. I started to listen to podcasts, read books, watch YouTube videos, and I began to daydream about building something on my own. If you're starting to do that now and you're watching videos like this and you feel this calling, do not neglect this. Absolutely listen to this. This is a clear sign to help you, motivate you to make this transition and go do your own thing. The fourth sign is that you crave more control over your time and income. Let's face it, no matter how successful you are in your job, if you are a W-2 employee, you still do not have freedom or control. You are really at the effect of your boss, of your of your job, things like that. So even when you want to take that your family to that camping trip or go skiing with them or whatever it is, you have to ask permission in a job. And in your own business, doesn't mean you're not going to be working a lot. You are, but you have the ability to have control over what you want to do with your time. So if you feel like you want more of that control and more freedom, then that's a clear sign that it's time to leave your 9-to-5 job. Sign number 5 is that you're constantly learning, growing, and thinking bigger. This is a really important trait as an entrepreneur. If you are growth-minded, meaning you're learning skills, even if you're not an entrepreneur yet, but you're listening to those podcasts, you're watching those YouTube videos, you're working with coaches, you're reading books, that's a very clear sign that you have the mindset required to be successful as an entrepreneur and do your own thing. Obviously, you need to develop skills. You got to figure out what kind of business you're going to start. Are you going to do a widget business on Amazon? Are you going to do a coaching business? Are you going to do, there's so many different types of businesses you could do, but as you got to have this mindset. If you don't have that mindset of growth, then entrepreneurship is probably not going to be the best thing for you. The sixth sign is that you feel out of place in corporate meetings and office politics, right? Maybe you just are tired of going through the motions. Maybe you feel like you're not making a big impact and contribution in your job. If those are the feelings that you have, those are clear signs that it's time to transition from that job, quit it, give notice, and then build your own business. The seventh sign is that you secretly admire entrepreneurs and coaches. This is kind of the stage I was in for a few years. When I used to work for a personal development company called Lifebook, I worked for them for about 3 or 4 years, and I was consuming everything about entrepreneurs. I was following the Tony Robbins of the world and the Gary V's of the world, but I didn't have the courage yet to make that leap. But I admired those people. And the more I consumed of theirs, the more I believed that it was possible for me. And if you're starting to watch my videos or others, it's very likely that you could be in that position if you're in a job right now, but you know you are being called to do more. That's a sign that you do not want to neglect in really thinking critically about whether now's the time to make this transition for yourself. The eighth sign is that you've started questioning the normal path everyone else follows. Oh, normality. Oh, what a boring word, right? That's where I was at when I made that transition in entrepreneurship. I wanted to do something different. Now, my family thought I was nuts. My friends thought I was insane. I was leaving the security of a high-paying career in investment banking and private equity. But here's the truth. I was miserable. And I no amount of money would have traded for my happiness and my joy or the impact and the fulfillment that I wanted to have from a career. And so I neglected, or I walked away from the normality of that everyday life. And if you feel resistance towards that normality, if you're bored by it, then clearly that's a sign that you've got to quit that job and build your own business. The ninth sign is that you feel excited and scared thinking about taking the leap. Just because you're scared doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. If you're scared, it means that you're excited. It means that this is important to you and this is meaningful. I actually just talked to a client today who's taking her experience in real estate and is now building a real estate coaching company. And she's terrified. She's nervous about it, but she's got 30 years of experience. She's going to crush it. And I said, good, I'm glad you're nervous, because if you weren't, are you really going to be motivated enough to do the things? So just know that if there's nervousness, that's a normal feeling. And in fact, that means that you're probably moving towards a vision that has a lot of meaning to you. The 10th and final sign that you must pay attention to know if it's time to transition from your 9-to-5 to building a business, is knowing that you are meant for more. And when I say more, I mean more fulfillment, more joy, more freedom, more impact, more income, right? When you know you're meant for more, there's only so much you can extract out of a job. Now, I don't want to discount all other companies and all other jobs and say that if you're a W-2 employee, you're less than an entrepreneur. That's not the truth at all. But if you want more, entrepreneurship is the vehicle to get more. There's a bigger cap on most people's jobs in a company than there is on them doing their own thing. With that said, it's going to require courage and discipline and sacrifice and all those things that the TikTok gurus don't tell you that it requires, right? Some people just say, push this easy button and you're going to become a 7-figure empire owner. It doesn't necessarily happen that way. So those are the 10 signs. If even one of these signs hit home for you, do me a favor and just comment freedom below. I'd like to know which one of you watching this are seriously considering making this transition into doing your own thing and building your own business. Now, before I wrap up this video, I have a quick favor to ask. If you found this to be valuable and useful, do me a favor and just subscribe to the channel. That way you never miss a future video. That helps me provide this content for free going forward. And if you know you are ready to build your own business, specifically a coaching business, I actually have a free online course. Now, if you're building an entirely different type of business, this probably isn't going to be for you. But if you want to become a 6-figure coach and generate consistent leads, build a big impact, have a lot of meaning in your life, and make a great living with a lot of freedom, coaching businesses are the best vehicles to do that, in my opinion. So if you want to know how to start a profitable coaching business, click up here, watch that free online course, and I'll see you in my next videos.